Welcome to the Brain Software Podcast, episode 266, arriving in your ears from Toronto, Canada, the hypnotic world epicenter. I'm Chris Thompson, and today, Mike Mandel, that's this guy, and I are going to answer questions from around the world for people just like you. So stay tuned.
And we'll be looking at using ideomotor signals. The questions are only part of it. But first, a disclaimer for you. No matter how much you think there is to learn, you're always wrong unless you pay strict attention to the next word. Bavarch. And to those who want to stop us using the Brilli language from the Indus River Valley by saying Bavarch, as I just did, Chris wants to ask you something.
Can you really stop us? Can you stop us at all?
Yeah, well, somebody's sure stopping me because I've been trying to say that word for about 10 minutes. It's not working at all. But up here in Meaford, there's only one question that matters, and that's what the F ever happened to the old laid-back, tranquil life we had in Grey County before Eddard and Duder turned up next door?
These are days of victory. So let's welcome to the center stage of the Trevor Tilling Crokinole Auditorium, the gluten-free hypnosis trainer, the smartest guy in Minden, Ontario,
It's easy.
and the Brian Jones of Dead Hypnotists,
Yes!
Mike Mandel.
Yes! Painted black, we are here. The Brian Jones of Dead Hypnotists. How freaking cool is that? I've given up on the Keiths, although I still come back to Keith Richards every now and then. This is amazing. What do we got coming up here, buddy? What's the usual banter?
Let's see. So first of all, let's just make sure that we are promoting the Architecture of Hypnosis, 5 days of awesome hypnosis training with us in Toronto.
Yeah.
We're now taking reservations. Yeah, I suppose you could say that. We're now booking.
Buy your ticket. Yeah.
We're booking for the May 2025 class. So after the winter's over and the snow all melts, it doesn't actually get that snowy in Toronto. Come on out to Toronto. You can hang out with us.
And the snow all melts, come to Toronto and learn to hypnotize with us. Scary thing, I was going to do a really earnest song for no reason.
MikeMandelHypnosis.com. You'll just be able to check out the events link in the navigation. Then you can sign up for class and come and hang out with us. Other than that, make sure you join our free group. It's MikeMandelHypnosis.com/free group. All right.
Excellent.
It's called Brain Software, just like this podcast.
Just like this podcast.
So if you like this, you'll like hanging out with us there. All right. What else we
one
got?
more thing about coming to Toronto. Serious, guys. We only do 2 trainings a year.
Mm-hmm.
Architecture of Hypnosis, 5-day intensives with regular and master trainings in the course. And once a year, we're in Las Vegas for a few days. Other than that, if you want to learn from us live, you got to come to Toronto or see us in Las Vegas. Okay, not putting any appeal to scarcity here. I'm 71. How long am I going to do this? Well, I'm booked for May next year.
Till you're...
I book one ahead.
Yeah, we're planning on at least another decade.
Oh, well, yes, you are.
There you go.
All right. So let me just tell about the joke I did on MCA because I think this is so funny. It needs
Right. And then we're just going to make sure we keep people listening. So after you tell the Michael C. Anthony hilarious joke, and this is good, this is worth waiting for.
Yes.
We're going to go into some good content on how you can use something called ideomotor signals to actually make a difference in your own life. And then if you're a hypnotist, of course, you can use this with your clients.
Of course.
All
It's
right.
easy, but it's powerful. Now, Michael C. Anthony, our other best friend, I sent him a text message. You got to know, first of all, what Voxer is. Voxer is like a walkie-talkie app. We use it all the time, and it will save your message. And you have to say breaker balls there, or the person will, he's going to it right
Yeah,
now.
Voxer. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
So I send MCA a text message first, and I just said, "Did you even read the instructions, you dick?" And so he writes back almost immediately. He says, "What? Instructions about what?" And I said, "Voxer." So he's like, okay. So he listens to Voxer, but I haven't sent him a message. So he's sitting there waiting for resolution and not getting it. Then like 10 minutes later, I sent him a Vox. But the Vox just repeated what the text message said. "Did you even read the instructions, you dick?" So now he says, "Read the instructions for what? What are you talking about?" And I said, that sprouting device you bought that you plug in and attach it to your, he said, that was 10 years ago. I said, that's the humor. You continue a conversation that you began years ago and with no reference to it. I just expect them to understand it.
I love it. The best of pattern interrupts. Now,
Okay, thank you.
we will. I just want to point out that if we ever do shorts on these, which we do, we did a TikTok tutorial. It's not out yet. It's coming out soon. It'll probably be out by the time this podcast is out, though. So let me correct myself and say it's out. It's on TikTok and probably YouTube Shorts as well. And it's how to do the dick chant,
the proper way to do it. Yeah,
which is, and people will comment and go, "Well, why would you ever do that to someone?" And they're not understanding the context here.
There is no context.
Well, the dick chant we might say to someone, yes, if they're actually dicks.
Yeah.
But these kinds of pattern interrupts that you do to Michael C. Anthony, you don't normally do those to, let's say, customers who don't know you very well or anything like that. You would do that to your friends.
Well, not necessarily. That's where I sort of differentiate myself. I'm the king of context-free humor. I won't say it, but I'll leave it to your imagination. Remember the hypnosis show I did for McDonald's head office, and the guy took me aside about the sound. He said, "There's something I got to talk to you first."
Oh.
And I said, "Hang on.
Oh,
this isn't about."
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Yes.
No.
Yeah. You would do that stuff. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
So
there you go.
let's get on our think tank words, which were given to me by ChatGPT. Are you ready?
Yeah, because you're not at your house where you have your think tank actual, so you have to ask an AI to give you three random words, and the three random words then get fit into the context
Did you say
of
three grand a word?
Random words.
That's funny how my brain went.
We're
to
definitely
money.
interrupting each other too much.
Correct.
Now. Yeah, we're gonna get hate mail. You guys interrupt each other
Can
too
you really
much.
stop us?
You're really annoying.
Stop us at
Yeah.
all.
All right.
What's the first word, Chris?
Okay, so I was just saying, though, these three words are to work into the content. That's what the three think tank words are.
Yeah.
The first word is river.
All right.
River makes me think about, well, we'll just do all three words and then go through them.
Okay, second one.
Cattle.
Wow. Third one.
Mountains.
Wow.
All right.
That's good.
Well, they're all kind of related to like nature and farming.
I suppose so. When we think mountains related to farming, how?
I don't know. Well,
Specific farming
cattle
for-
and mountains. Okay, so we're gonna
River.
where does this go? River. I think about current flowing.
Okay.
Everything. Water has a direction, but it can change. It can meander. So where are you going?
Meander. Good grief.
Yeah.
That's a $20 word.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. River, yeah, it's always about the flow, right? Rivers have stagnant areas and so on. For a river to flow well, the stagnancy, the old shopping carts and tires in it have to be dredged out. Maybe it's a metaphor for our lives.
Oh, I got one for cattle now, too.
Okay, go ahead, cattle.
Okay, cattle chew their cud, right? Which makes me think about sometimes you got to process things. Sometimes you need to process information more than once, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about.
That's
What do you
not
get
bad.
out of cattle?
Well, cattle follow cow heads. The brain software keynote on training I used to do, it used to be called No Cow Heads.
Oh my goodness.
And I even had a badge. I think I gave you one, didn't I? And it's a cow with his cattle with their hands folded like this, and the red thing with the red dash through it.
What's the idea of a
don't
cow
follow
head?
the common herd. Don't be afraid to be an individual. And what are your strengths? What do you want out of life? Well, I guess I should just no. Stop being a freaking cowhead.
No cowheads turned into brain software.
Absolutely.
Aren't you glad this isn't the No Cowheads podcast,
I'm rather
everybody?
sad about it. But
Yeah.
What about mountains?
Mountains. I'm just thinking I'm thinking to how mountains form. It takes forever, but it's massive forces from the ground and plates moving, and then mountains form.
It is the science of tectonics,
So
indeed,
if
but
you-
some are formed volcanically.
Right, and it's a natural process. It takes time. I think about incrementalism, but how you can move mountains. Eventually the shifting
brilliant.
plates move mountains.
That's brilliant.
Literally.
Now, because we're short of content on this one,
That's it.
I'm
We're
going to
done.
ask you. I want you to Dracularize any of these.
Okay, well, cattle to butcher, to blood to Dracula.
Okay, well, I think I've got a better one for that.
Okay,
Cattle to beef cattle, to beef steak, to wooden steak,
wooden steak.
to Dracula. What about river?
river,
River blood to Dracula.
sure, river. Okay, yeah. All right, let's
I
get on.
got a great one for mountains.
Oh no, okay.
To the Carpathian Mountains, to Transylvania, to Dracula. All right.
There you go. Dracula.
Geographically accurate, as is everything we say.
All right, so we've got Q&A. We didn't say this, but there's Q&A.
We did say
in
it.
this
There's a
episode?
couple of emails that came in, and I just want to answer them.
Some
and then we're into Ideomotor.
All right. Do you want to do the Ideomotor first?
No,
or
we just
second?
do these two, and then we'll get
All right.
right into it.
Cool.
So Edith asked, I've heard of tapping for others, surrogate tapping. Is this a real thing? How does it work? What works about it and how? And the interesting thing is,
First of all, you got to
the
explain
tapping modalities that we do, either the EFT or my preference, which is my own 6-step one, which came from Robert Smith's, faster EFT. It works. People just do it. It works. It works. I mean, you can use it to get rid of negative emotions really quickly if you follow the pattern. But doing it surrogate is tapping for other people when they have a problem. Now, not tapping on them,
Right.
as I did with a little boy who sucked his thumb and one set of, it just stopped forever. At least I assume he did. He's probably in his 30s by now.
I'm 30. I think I'll start
still
sucking
on
my
it.
thumb again.
But tapping for others, Edith, my only experience with this was doing it with my Bengal cat. I've said this many times. I won't tell the story again. The 2 cats, one went to the vet, came back smelling like a veterinary office. His brother hated him, wouldn't go near him for like a month. And I did the tapping on the cat that was irritated about the other cat. No, my brother loves me. He smells weird, but he's still my brother. Just did like 3 or 4 rounds. Cat came down, looked at each other, instantly friends again after a month of antagonism. I don't know how it works.
Was there cause effect? Was it post hoc logical fallacy?
I don't know.
Who knows?
But it was like 10 minutes after I did it. All of a sudden they made it
Yeah.
up. Now, the other thing is borrowing the benefits. And this is a cool thing from Gary Craig. When you're doing any tapping stuff, if someone else is doing tapping, to overcome my anxiety, do it along with them. And your unconscious mind will take whatever benefits from it needs in the situation.
That makes a lot.
It's woo-woo. It's a little bit woo, a little bit woo.
Well, it's about perspective. We did in the last podcast about perceptual position.
Yeah.
I could see how that would relate, though.
That's very bright.
Yeah.
Very, very
So
bright.
there you go. Also,
have
just want to point out that anyone listening going, what the heck are you talking about tapping, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe we'll put a link in the show notes here, but there's a video on YouTube that we did a few years ago, and we called it the fibromyalgia cure. Now, the method of curing your fibromyalgia was tapping, and so the tapping is taught in that video.
Yeah.
You don't have to apply it to fibro, but if you know someone who has fibro, teach it to them.
Follow
Have
it
them
very
watch the
specifically.
video, or use it for anything else, and just let us know how it works.
Let
for
us
you.
know how spectacularly
Right.
well it works.
So
for you.
that's your tapping discussion.
One of the first things I would use the tapping on with clients is if they were skeptical about the tapping.
Yeah.
I'd do one round on that and immediately wouldn't be skeptical.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
they'd be
crazy stuff. We got one more question. Bozina asks, my daughter is just starting her final year of vet med. She started throwing up most mornings last term. She's fine while at home, but leading up to one rotation at an equine hospital, the vomiting became cyclic. And after 3 days, she was hospitalized. Good grief. Got better through the next week, decided to travel south. Within a week, she was vomiting blood. Oh my goodness. So as soon as I go to collect her, she starts feeling better. No nausea for 3 weeks till the day before the next placement. I see this as an ego state, keeping her safe from going into her final year.
It sounds that
She's
way.
aced every year so far. The 5th should be her strongest. Couldn't you cover ego states that sabotage? Yes. Ego states are subpersonalities. We all have them. 100 to 150 total. Some are stuck at different ages. You've childhood ego states. You've got introjects of your parents and teachers. All of these things make up the complexity of the human mind, indeed the human brain, since they're not constructs or psychological. They are physical aspects of your brain. They're burned in neural pathways. Now, everything is an ego state issue. So she has an ego state, the one that is doing the vomiting to keep her from this. It's a protective mechanism.
Related things like a friend of mine that I used to lifeguard with back when I was in high school, he had a year where he was getting horrendous migraines every day in the afternoon at school. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was like a particular math class that he had or something like that. There was something about the school situation that was causing him to have these horrendous migraines, and they were bleeding over and affecting his ability to work after school because he still had these headaches. But they would always be triggered, like, I don't remember all the details, but just pretend I do, in the afternoon, right after lunch, right before this class. That's when the headache would come. And it was probably a protection mechanism because the class was stressing him out.
Now, that's interesting because sometimes things are brought to the fore that are not necessarily the reason. I have no reason to doubt what you're saying is the actual reason. But in my own case,
Could be something else.
I had swimming lessons in public school. Every time I'd go, I'd get a splitting headache, which was clearly a migraine headache. It was one side of the head. And my mom got migraines. And they said, oh, he's afraid of the water. They kept saying that. but it wasn't. I was hypersensitive to chlorine. And as soon as I was at a swimming pool on a trip with my parents down to the U.S., the swimming pool used bromine instead. And I'm in and out of the water having a wonderful time.
Interesting.
But so we have to be careful.
Yeah, we don't want to assume.
We don't want to assume, but Bozina, I will say, it sounds like it is a protective mechanism. You can do hypnosis or get someone else to do it with her and establish contact with that ego state. You might even use ideomotor signals that we're going to be talking about in a minute.
Yeah, in fact, lesson 15 of the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy is all about ego states and different interventions that you can work with. And then I think it was it's either 16 or 17 that covers the ideomotor stuff. And they can be put together nicely. I believe it's 16. I think they're back to back. So lesson 15 and lesson 16 or 17 are basically where you want to go. And I know Bozina is a member of MMHA. So that will be useful. Anything else you want to add? Great question.
No, I think that's it. I think if it is an ego state thing, and it probably is, you should be able to communicate with it and recognize that your daughter is safe anyway, and emphasize the safety. And there's no need to protect her from this because it's not a dangerous situation. This should be fixable. Also, you could just use the tapping directly on it. I would throw that at it too. So what the heck is ideomotor work, Chris?
Well, this is interesting, right? So ideo meaning idea and motor meaning motion. So the idea of ideomotor is that ideas can cause motion.
And this is a subgroup of
ideodynamics.
Ideodynamics include idiosensory, where an idea or hypnotic thought can trigger emotions as well and senses to change so that you stimulate the visual sense or whatever.
Right, because if ideas can trigger emotions, which seems obvious, if you were to think about, people, just think about it right now. Here, you're in a classroom on a chalkboard. Somebody with a really long fingernails just does that. And people get chills. That's ideodynamic.
Yes,
right?
I used to do that in my keynotes.
Yeah.
I'd say, that sound, your fingers on the blackboard, and I go up to the flip chart and go, and people would cringe. And I say, there is no blackboard. And paper.
Would you consider that to be ideomotor because of I guess there's a bit of motion.
Yeah, but certainly idiosensory.
Even without the motion, there's certainly there's a sensory component. Right?
And it is ideodynamic.
We're creating the sense, we're creating the emotion. So wouldn't it make sense that we also have ideomotor movements? Like, for example, people will imagine a situation and they'll just sit back.
Or putting on the brakes in a car and they're not driving.
Yeah. My wife does it all the time.
Yeah.
She's in the passenger seat.
She does it on your side.
She thinks that if she sees the stop sign and I haven't stopped yet, that automatically means I don't know the stop sign.
You're going to run the stop sign.
I'm going to run it. So
tell everybody.
Slamming on the brake pedal in the imaginary position of the passenger seat.
Let's go back to William Benjamin Carpenter, 1852. He was a medical doctor in England, and he was the first person to talk about this. And
William Benjamin Carpenter.
And I actually I took it to the last AOH. I have a card with his signature on it. And a comment.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is, I got home and I checked it against the light, and there's a watermark on it.
Yeah.
And I went online.
That was a gift from someone.
No, I bought it.
You bought it? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm mistaking it for something else.
I get many gifts. Scotch is preferred or bourbon. Irish whiskey too. No Canadian whiskey is horrible. Bottom line. So I got this card and I checked the watermark, and it was from Yorkshire, England, a defunct company in the 1850s.
Isn't that
it's legitimate.
Cool.
Carpenter recognized that people would make involuntary motions based on what they were thinking of at the time. And this went on to debunk a lot of supposed paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Ouija boards, it's not a ghost, it's ideomotor, because if you blindfold the people, all of a sudden it doesn't make sense what the words are saying. They can't see it.
Yeah, so they have to be steering it with their mind and the visual connection.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of this is table tipping, where they would have a card table, which is pretty light for people put their hands on. If there's any spirit here, wrap the table on the table would tilt and bang.
Yeah.
Like this. But they're all doing it unconsciously.
Because the group is unconsciously creating a resonant response by their
Brilliant.
movements.
Tell he's an engineer. In fact, you want to freak people out? And this is the best ideomotor thing I've ever seen. I got it out of a John Fisher magic book years ago, and it works. Get about 4 bottles of different sizes. And inside, keep corks or whatever. Inside each one, put a thread with a weight.
Okay, yeah. So
and
just like
all different
cork
different
on the
lengths
top of the bottle,
yeah,
with a thread
a weight,
sinking down,
a washer, whatever, hanging loose inside. Not
so
touching.
basically, like a pendulum of different lengths inside.
So they're all going to produce different amplitudes because the length is different, different period as well.
Yeah.
So you have all the 4 of these in the middle of the table. You get 3 other people, and you put your hands on the table like this, all around this card table, and someone names one of the bottles. Oh, the Bordeaux bottle. Okay, focus. Everyone starts willing it to swing, even though it's inside the bottle. And what will happen is that one will start swinging and the others will stay absolutely still.
Right, or at least, because, and I'm going to correct you, mild correction here, not amplitude, frequency.
Frequency, thank you. The
for.
amplitude is the arc it's swinging over.
Yes, exactly. So when you are, when the group of people is unconsciously moving the table at just the right frequency,
correct,
only that pendulum arm that resonates at that natural frequency or closer to it will move. The other ones may move a little bit, but they're going to basically be dealing with a bunch of constructive and destructive interference. They're not really going to move much at all.
So you're not going to see it move. No.
They're going to.
But what happens
seem like they're wiggling maybe.
As you focus on, then you say to and it'll be banging off the sides of the bottle.
Ding, ding, ding.
And then you say, okay, wait, let's pick the the port bottle now, not pork, port. And so everyone focuses on the port bottle. The Bordeaux one will stop and that one will stop. And it's mind-blowing to see it and experience it because none of you know you're doing it, but you're all doing it together.
Which is an interesting thing. It goes to show that there's this unconscious calibration. It's way below your level of awareness.
No, that's really interesting. You brought up a point of unconscious calibration. I have this ability, and Henry at our church years ago, this kid was like 9. He and I had the same skills. So did our friend Toshi, who's passed away. If someone whistles any note, we can instantly whistle it exactly the same pitch.
Yeah.
Because we're unconsciously making calibration of it's off a fraction and bringing it up to...
Oh, 100%. It's like a quick feedback loop, right? So if you've whistled enough...
Yeah.
And I know you're a big whistler, Mike. So you can...
Just whatever that means, I'll kill him later when I find out.
So because if you have a lot of experience, say whistling, unconsciously
something else now.
Unconsciously, you know how much tension to put into the lips or facial muscles, and then when you're off, you automatically correct it auditorily. The feedback loop happens. Of course, boom.
It's like the guy sitting at the bottom of the basement stairs whistling.
Yeah,
with the couch. Move the couch over.
This is going off the rails really fast. Yeah. There you go.
There we go. The proof. Now, with its washers on these ideomotor things too, which takes me back instantly to Mr. Young in physics class, first period. I'd be mouthing off, and I failed a couple of grades, so a couple of complete grades.
Off in physics.
So mouthing off in physics class, smart comments, and I had been chided and warned.
Yeah.
He warned the class, no more comments. We have to get on with this. So he's got a retort stand, and he's got washers on it, and he's doing this and talking about amplitude and period and frequency and all this, and he says, and now. We'll try it with 2 washers. And I couldn't resist. I said, and 1 dryer. That was it. He said, out.
And 1 dryer.
1 dryer.
You told me that story once before.
Okay. So
oh, man.
Let's get to this. The best example I've experienced with ideomotor stuff, idea producing motion, was watching the AC/DC video from Live in Madrid. And they did a concert at the bullfighting ring, which is a horrible thing, but a concert there. And there's a wall. That's how the curtains open. There's a big wall and there's a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
And it just starts to swing and it's going to hit this wall. And I watch this. It goes for like 2 minutes and the audience is watching. And I realize I'm going like this in my seat. Like I'm swinging,
you're following
trying to make it move to hit the wall.
I was wondering how you're going to bring this back to Ideomotor.
You can't stop it. I'm just watching it. I go, I'm trying to move that with my mind. And then, of course, it hits, the wall falls, and Angus comes out with his guitar and it's freaking brilliant.
Oh.
But yeah, we all do this. And this stuff that Carpenter came up with laid the foundation for doing ideomotor stuff in hypnosis, and which led to the groundwork done by Leslie Lecron, the father of ideomotor signaling, although actually it was Carpenter, David Cheek, MD, and of course Milton Erickson, of getting these unconscious motions. Your eyes will close on their own, or your hand will begin to rise. This is all ideomotor.
Right. You're responding to the idea that the hypnotist or coach or whoever is saying something, and that idea creates the response.
Okay, so since you're 100% right on everything, let me ask you this. How does Clark Hull's comment in 1933 at Yale University, how does that fit with ideomotor stuff?
Well, Clark Hull, Yale University, 1933, said anything. Well, he didn't actually say it in the university. He said it in his book, Hypnosis and Suggestibility.
You caught the thing.
And
he was at Yale, though.
Yeah, he was a prof at Yale at the time. And he wrote in his book, anything that assumes trance causes trance. Now, if you ask me, how does ideomotor fit in with that? I would suggest that if you are locked in on an idea and that idea produces the motion, that gives you a sense that you have selective thinking going on, so that you are responding unconsciously. You're in a trance.
100% correct. Because ideomotor signals work, like with NLP, getting finger signals with no trance. And the reason they work is they are producing the trance.
They produce the trance. This is the thing. We call it, a lot of people argue, do you need an induction? It's just a ritual.
Yeah.
Sure, you can call it a ritual. I don't care what you call it. The reality is you're getting someone to participate in the process. You're absorbing their attention, and the principles of hypnosis are the same no matter what you do, whether you do a formal induction or whether you just give somebody some instructions to go do something, they'll go into trance. So if they're having an ideomotor response, they're probably in trance. Or if we set up catalepsy through something like kinesthetic ambiguity, we have the eyes closed and imagining their hand beginning to sink down, and they start feeling it be heavier, and it starts moving in those unconscious movements. That is idea-producing motion, right? Sinking it down.
Absolutely.
It's not the classic it's not an ideomotor signal the way
it's just ideomotor.
It's just ideomotor movement.
Right. Now, normally we set up yes and no on the fingers. Some people do it all in one hand, yes, no. But I've seen some hypnotists get so freaking complex with this.
Maybe next Tuesday.
It is the beginner's mistake to mistake. It's the beginner's error to mistake complexity for cleverness. And, like when we're doing casting the jack-o'-lantern in British Jiu-Jitsu, Ryan dropped to one knee with a strike to the center body line. It's way more
Adding
complex.
in all these
the end
steps.
result is the same.
Yeah.
You've driven the guy through the mat and his neck's broken. You don't have to do all this other stuff. But it's the same with hypnosis. And I've seen people, each finger, not quite each, but it's like, okay, yes, no, maybe, not sure. I'll answer tomorrow. Can't tell you. It gets, the person looks like they're playing frickin' piano and they're doing ideomotor signals. Like,
Okay.
why make it difficult?
The engineer in me now comes up with the metaphor.
Dick.
Why
Okay, I
not,
want to do a
why
dick
not
check.
create degrees of lifting each finger too, so we can start to approximate radio transmission waves, the QPSK or quantum modulation technique.
Listen to this.
How can we carry more data in a signal?
Yeah, we need more bandwidth in our ideomotor stuff. That's freaking amazing. Now, what we do is, I always did the Derek Bomber way. Yes, no, that was it. Although, having studied this extensively, Lacron and Cheek and all this, because I am the God Hypnos in human form, come to earth to help people, I began to realize the value of adding the third one, which is cannot answer yet.
Yeah, that's fine, because yes, no, cannot answer yet. Presupposition.
There might
from
be something
NLP.
but they will answer. But the implication can be you don't have enough rapport yet for them to share something deep and serious, or it's just something they don't want to talk about. You have to give them that out, or they'll start to give you the wrong signals on purpose.
Yeah, so I like that yes, no, and you know what? We should talk more about that. We should also make sure we cover Chevreul's pendulum. I know you haven't.
Well, we got it here.
I think that would be a great thing to move to next, because that way all the listeners and watchers on YouTube, all the watchers, you get something you can use right away, which is kind of cool.
Watchers. He's invoking frickin'
Watcher.
the Book of Enoch here.
All right.
Okay, now listen, but let's just say I do yes and no. People say, well, let them decide which is the yes finger and which is the no finger. Why?
No.
Why make it more difficult?
Let's do that with driving. Why don't you decide whether you want to drive on the left or the right side of the road? It'll work out perfectly.
That's not a very good one, really, because and I even said one instead of, that's not a very good one. Should have been good one, because it wasn't. The reason why is it's lacking something. It's saying to your subject, I'd like you to go through this book and choose the induction you want me to use.
Yeah.
And so you're always having to adapt to them, which is stupid. If you make this always the yes finger, this always the no finger, you'll never get it wrong. If one client wants this and this the other way around, then you're still in your mind thinking of the original. No, don't worry about it. Yes, no, and if you want to add it, can't answer yet.
Yeah.
You'll start to get an express train to the unconscious mind. It's incredible. Now, Bob Burns, our friend, Scottish trainer, he does the swan. I sometimes call it the swine, just for the humor. And I talked about the cobra and all this. But the swan, he does it on one hand, and he gets the answers. The swan nods, the swan turns and looks at you. It's very, very clever. And I noticed the Jack ones, I don't know about Anthony. Oh, yeah, I have seen him do it. Anthony and Freddie.
Yeah, in
both
2019.
The one. But Freddie's very clever with it. Not to say Anthony isn't. I'm just talking about the therapeutic side. Freddie's very careful. He only works with a yes signal.
Yeah.
So, and when you're ready to give me the yes signal, he never says, if you're not ready, why give them an out when they don't need it? They want to get rid of their freaking
That's
problems.
right. The presupposition is you will answer. It's a question of time. How long will it take to get that yes signal?
Exactly.
Right.
Now, you talk about Chevreul's pendulum.
Okay, so Chevreul's pendulum, and what's the first name of Chevreul? Do you know? Chevreul, some guy named Chevreul.
Maybe it's his first name.
I'm assuming he's a French guy.
Some frickin' French guy, yeah.
Anyway, the idea here, I don't have anything I can hold up as a fake pendulum. Okay, here, I'll just pretend. Anyway, you can make your own.
I was going to say, I do.
Okay. So you can make your own with a piece of thread, or actually those elasticy threads work really well because they don't tangle. But anyway,
personal experience.
Just tie a washer to some sewing thread or something like that. It doesn't really matter. We have these nice brass ones, or
really good ones,
pointy ones. They're really, anyway, you can buy them online there. Just make your own. Anyway, piece of thread with a weight at the end of it of some kind, right? A washer, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And what you do,
a finger ring,
you can just prop I like to prop my elbow up on, not prop my elbow up, rest my elbow on a desk surface and leave the pendulum just still. And then just in your mind, think one direction, let's say horizontal, side to side, is
the no signal.
Is the no signal. Just like, it's easier if you map it across to head gestures, because if someone says, "Oh, you don't want to go out for lunch day, do you?" And this is also an ideomotor, by the way, ideomotor signal, right? And then, "Oh, you want to eat a steak dinner tonight?" Yeah, and people are nodding for yes. So do the same thing with your Chevreul's pendulum. Forward and backward is yes, side to side is no, and then just start asking yourself any yes or no question. Yeah. And your unconscious will start answering it. Basically, will the darn thing to start moving in one direction or the other. Even don't ask yourself a question. Just say, show me the yes signal.
Yes.
And
show me the yes signal.
Be thinking forward and backward, forward and backward. Thinking it, not doing anything consciously with your hand, with fingers. And it will freaking move.
And then, exactly. You actually use the words head signals. That's why I'm laughing. I've never heard that term in my life. But that's interesting. I'm going to adopt it. The interesting thing here for me, and I said interesting again and again then, is when you're doing this, it'll freak you out when it works, because ideomotor signals aren't this smooth. That's conscious. Yeah, they're always halting and micro movements. The first time I did this and experienced it, I did it during an afternoon nap. So maybe mid-90s. Mm-hmm. And I lay there and was just starting to doze, and I said, are you willing to give me the yes signal to communicate with me consciously? And nothing happened. And so I just started falling asleep. And it must have been about 10 minutes later, my fingers suddenly went, your unconscious is listening. As Larry Nims, Dr. Larry Nims, classical psychologist, one of my excellent teachers, said, the unconscious mind doesn't miss anything. It doesn't miss a beat. So even though we're talking about this now, your unconscious is listening and learning to pick up on this. So you can set up these signals. James Hazelrig, our friend from Texas, I believe, created the tripendulum. He gave me one. Well, actually, I bought it from him, but he chose the one for me. And each 3 different crystals, different lengths of string
for the same thing that we just talked about with the bottle, because they're going to have different frequencies.
You hold it. And my master students have to all master this, so they're all getting able to produce different signals.
Is the idea here that it's also a yes, no, or I don't,
but it could be.
Okay, yeah, you could take the three different things, whatever you call them, the 3 pendulums, and as you're holding it, and be thinking, this is the yes, this is the no, this is the I don't want
just
to
like
tell
head
you
signals.
yet, something like that.
Well, and with a pendulum, it's the yes, the no, and I don't want it's a circle.
Circles,
that's the third one. But this is enormously powerful. I recommend you start with the pendulum, because you will get signals with that very, very quickly. And then when you're able to get yes and no signals, you can explore your own unconscious, and you can get signals, then the finger signals as well. And it's an amazing, amazing thing to do.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's not going to make you psychic. I don't mean that.
No, it is
drawing from the wealth of all your unconscious mind.
This isn't freaking woo-woo stuff. This is basically just...
Yeah, we're not in a grain elevator, you know? So don't wave the pendulum around like this.
Yeah. But what kind of experiments can people do on themselves with just a simple Chevreul's pendulum? Make your own pendulum, thread, washer, define the yes and the no, and then...
Well, recognize you have an express line to your unconscious. So let's say you've had a lot of insomnia, not being able to sleep for several nights. You can ask the unconscious mind, are you aware of the reason for my insomnia? And I believe you'll get a yes signal.
Yeah.
Give it time. And then say, will you show me in my conscious awareness what the yes signal is? And then just what it means, what it's
the
referring
insomnia
to.
means.
Yeah.
Will you make it consciously available to me?
And you can make all kinds of therapeutic change without conscious interference, which leads us to this particular thing. So let's just, before we do it, let's say you're going to choose and set up signals, test them, and use them.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. This email came in, and it so perfectly fits at this point that we're going there now.
Let me see this.
So Michael asked, hey, Mike, I know you're not too keen on regression to cause and making memories conscious. Not true. If you teach your client submodalities and dissociation, and they can easily reduce a bad feeling in a memory quickly by putting it on a TV, like an imaginary
Dissociation,
submodality shift, submodality, then would you still say do not use regression to cause? The problem of going to a distressing memory is easily solved. Clients find it interesting using that method. I did the forgotten unconscious memory using the IMR, ideomotor. I don't Ideomotor review, probably.
Ideomotor regression, maybe he means.
Review.
Okay.
It worked great. Then the unconscious said they can now view it consciously. Seems similar to regression to cause. Hope I'll explain this right. Thank you. You're very welcome.
Let's break it down because I think we read
line
it so
by line.
weirdly. What does it actually mean?
I know you're not keen on regression to cause and making memories conscious. That's not quite correct. When we say regression to cause, when we say regression hypnotically, we are not dealing with hypermnesia where we have an enhanced recall. We are talking about reliving the experience from first position. You're inside yourself. The problem with that is you abreact and all the negative emotions can come out. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's harmless. If you abreact the person completely, get rid of all the negative emotions, give them some powerful ego-strengthening suggestions and, tidy up the loose ends, that will get rid of problems. They did that after the First World War. But that's regression to cause, the abreaction part. But since with things like timelines, a number of different methods, the tapping, you can get rid of all that negative emotion without the person feeling much abreaction, which is way easier on the client. It's not that I'm opposed to regression to cause. I'm just opposed to unnecessary abreaction if we can help them feel better without doing that.
Yeah, in other words, it's not dangerous. It's just uncomfortable.
Unpleasant. Uncomfortable. So the method I believe he's referring to here, IMR, which would be Ideomotor review. It's David Cheek and
reviewing the issue from
the person has a problem. We let them find it using ideomotor work, and we're not going to teach it here, but they find it and they run the event unconsciously. Now they're in trance, but below the threshold of their conscious awareness, the conscious mind is always present to some degree. So they run it, and every time something negative happens in the memory, they give the negative signal, the no signal, which is the bad memory signal. So they're running the event unconsciously, you might run it for 30 seconds, and you see that they've done the no signal twice, and you push it down each time so you can see it and mark it. At the end of it, you say, that's excellent. Go back, rewind, and run it again unconsciously with even more detail. And again, give the no signal every time and you're counting. So again, you'll get the 2. When you've run it 3 times,
that's
the key. Because every time you're doing this, you're depotentiating negative emotion. It's coming out by them reviewing it unconsciously.
Unconsciously, meaning they're not consciously aware of the
any
details.
Of it. Yeah,
right.
All they're aware of is that their finger's twitching.
Right.
So now we say, is your unconscious mind willing to review it and let you know consciously what it is? If you get a no, run it again unconsciously.
Yeah.
Every time you do, you're depotentiating more negative emotion. After you've done this, when you get a yes, run it again. What?
I got the world's stupidest metaphor for this. I'll give you in a moment. Yeah.
Thank you for sparing me right now. So I'm building to a crescendo here. You should never interrupt someone when they're building to a crescendo.
I just laughed.
That's an interruption. Laugh, interrupt. Okay, so then they run it and they're consciously aware of it. And they'll do the signals and they'll tell you the 2 things that happened in the memory that were particularly bad. So the person runs this now. They have conscious awareness and it depotentiates all the problem without the stress of regressing into it. And the magic tool here is ideomotor signals, so you can tell exactly where the person is. I refer you to Cheek and also to Lacron if you want to look at this stuff even more.
All right. Now, I think we should move, after I disclose this metaphor, we'll move to our commercial break, and then we'll come back and wrap up.
Go ahead.
Good? All right. So I'm going to say one word. I'll say an item's name, and you'll understand what the metaphor is. 9-volt battery. Okay, you're not getting it. All right. So the whole depotentiating it's not dangerous to stick a brand new 9-volt battery on your tongue, right?
Right.
It's not dangerous. It freaking hurts.
Yeah.
You know, every kid's done this just because we have to find out how bad is it really. And then we have to do it again.
Yeah. And then you start doing the electronic fly swatters.
So
They're like 50,000 volts.
It's not harmful to put a 9-volt battery across your tongue, but it's not exactly pleasant. So if you depotentiate, i.e. take the potential 9 volts down to a lower voltage level because the battery's about dead, you flatten that electrical potential, then will you be able to make it consciously aware? Well, that's the equivalent of saying, okay, if I put it on my tongue now, it's like, I just detect a little tingle.
Yeah, a little tingle.
Just a little tingle. It's almost gone.
That's
and
nice.
it's safe now. It was always safe.
That's very good. Like, so can you imagine what a taser is like?
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
I did a training at, I did many, but Ontario Police College. We had an outdoor event first that night. They had a barbecue and a bunch of beer and stuff. And I went hung out with these guys in this tent, and they had a taser. And they said, you got to do this. Everybody has to take 5 seconds on the taser, 5 seconds.
And how long did you last?
They won't firing it at you. You hold the two things.
Oh,
and
man.
They were doing this. These guys are doing the funky chicken and falling down, all the muscles over.
There's some Ideomotor.
And I said, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I said, the only way it's going to happen is if you freaking shoot me with that thing. And I can see that it's already unwound. It's like, oh, you got it. Just, no, see, that's what you don't understand. Is they'll kill you if you try to get near me
It
with that.
reminds me of Michael C. Anthony bringing those, those prepackaged hot like
horrible
the
hot
shape
chip.
of a Dorito chip.
Oh,
but
the
they're-
one chip or something.
Yeah, one chip challenge or something. And it's like the most insane heat
Why
ever.
anybody would do that?
And he brought 3 thinking it would be a good idea for us to all, chow down on these chips.
He's out of his mind.
And
what do you,
see.
What do you
I-
bring?
I
didn't know any.
I broke off a corner
It
just
was
to taste
agonizing.
It was insane.
They're like scorpion peppers or something, or African death peppers. I mean, if you're going to do that, why maybe he'll bring a razor blade to the next time we hang out, and we can all make incisions in our glands, Oh, you got to do it. It's just a little nick in the penis. What's the problem?
Speaking of testicular disenfranchisement,
And we are. Okay.
I think it is time to move to our commercial break.
Tonight, on the Trevor Tilling Network, the lawn tree blooms again.
Johnny Yumzabo was a lazy kind of guy, happiest when he was lying around eating donuts in an Inverness cape, or playing hours of computerized tic-tac-toe with his Irish wolfhound, Cameron, at his side. Life for Johnny was easy and smooth. It was summertime in New Hampshire, and the living was easy. Johnny's enormous house, next to the 36-hole extravaganza golf course designed by professional golf architect Larry Gomez from Shizjig Enterprises in Cancun, Mexico. But when everything's so good, it often means that the worst is about to happen, and that was certainly the case here. Because Johnny Yumzabo had no idea that he was about to experience an appointment with destiny. Because hundreds of miles above the blue Earth, a Starlink satellite tripped over a tiny piece of space debris and began to plummet quickly, reaching terminal velocity and generating enormous heat as it engaged the atmosphere over New Hampshire. And just as Johnny Yumzabo looked up to appreciate the cumulus cloud formation, the nearly incinerated piece of space debris burned to the size of a single grain of superheated titanium sand, which struck his left testicle with the expanded energy of a 747, slamming into the Great Pyramid of Giza. The full force of the impact caused the wolfhound to abandon his charge and flee for the swimming pool, where, though he was never allowed to go, swimming happily as Johnny Yumzabo began to lose consciousness. But as his eyes closed, Johnny smiled through the miasma of pain, because the last thing he saw was the tree on his lawn had blossomed into beautiful pink flowers. He knew he'd need testicular reconsolidation, a rare and difficult surgery usually done with unsterilized medieval instruments, but he didn't care at all, because Johnny knew that everything changes when the lawn tree blooms.
I look out of my room.
He looked out of his room
In the middle of June.
Yeah, it was the middle of June.
Under New Hampshire sky.
New
Think I might die. But
and the lawn tree blooms,
and the lawn tree blooms. The lawn tree blooms tonight at 9 p.m. on the ever-growing list of Johnny's network.
And we are back. All right, so let's continue on. And what are we going to go to next here?
I just want to say to people, experiment with the signals yourself. Learn to install them and play with them, see what happens. An easy way to practice is as you're falling asleep at night.
Yes, that's right. As you're falling asleep at night, you can use these ideomotor signals. You can make yourself a Chevrolet's pendulum. You can ask yourself to show me the yes signal, show me the no signal.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Ask yourself all kinds of questions to solve interesting problems and teach your friends and have some fun and let us know in the comments how spectacularly freaking well it works for you.
And that.
Anything else we got to do here?
Well, I've got you to do the empowering questions next. So
all right. I mean, that was really pushing the commercial late, but that's okay.
Well, it was you who did it.
Yeah,
so
I know. It's my fault.
Hands off. Go ahead.
All right. We're gonna end with the empowering question, the metaphor, the call to action, and then it's lunchtime.
Yeah, man.
All right. So, empowering question. Let's get to it. Here we go. We got, when and where do you notice physical response to ideas or emotions in your life that confirm you are subject to Carpenter's ideomotor responses? And when will you contact your unconscious mind with this awesome method?
Brilliant. Metafive's a simple one. You know, I was bullied incessantly as a kid.
I do.
And one of the guys who bullied me was this guy, Steve Millen. I don't even know why he did. I didn't know anything about him. But we were coming back from public school one day, and he called me. I went over. Next thing I knew, I was flat on my back on the ground in the snow, and he was punching me in the face. He was in the schoolyard mounted position. And I couldn't breathe. He started choking me with my scarf. It was a really horrific thing. And they just sort of left me there, and that was it. And I got up, and I was all right. And it's just so funny because I really wish he'd try it now. Just funny. He would just be candy. I mean, I think so many. Get the knee over around his neck, my shin under his throat, haul him into, or triangle choke him, or just, a number 4 grip.
There's just so much. There's so much enjoyment that you could just cast upon him.
I like being a 71-year-old, someone's worst freaking nightmare if they attack me.
Oh.
Anyway, thanks again for coming out.
This has been episode 266 of the Brain Software Podcast. I can hardly believe we've been doing this since 2012, Mike. So we hope you enjoyed it. We want to hear your ideas of what you want us to discuss in the next podcast. Personal development, communication, hypnosis, NLP, coaching, whatever it is that would interest you. Let us know. We do care. We do read your emails. You can reach both of us using info@MikeMandelHypnosis.com. Goes to both of us. No guarantee that we'll reply, but we definitely do read all our emails.
Yes, we do.
And make sure you check out our website, MikeMandelHypnosis.com. If you want to go to in the footer of the website, you'll see a link for our free community, the Brain Software Podcast, which is great because it's content of this nature. And if you want to come and hang out with us in Toronto, go to the website, MikeMandelHypnosis.com, and we've got our May 2025 class coming up, filling up. You'll hang out with us in Toronto. It's freaking amazing. You'll have a great time. And on that note, let's go to lunch.
Thanks again.
Thanks once again, and good night.